Good grief. I can't help but hear that phrase in Charlie Brown's voice. Not sure if that resonates with you or not, but I bet the concept of grief does. Not here to talk about griefers like in video games, although there's plenty of room for that discussion too. We've all got reason to grieve something if we're around long enough to care about something, even if it's only ourselves. You know who you are. According to the Mayo Clinic, it's just a natural reaction to loss. Then they cite examples like the death of a loved one or the end of an important relationship and so on. They also include the loss of independence through disability. And I wonder why they add the qualifier through disability. Would not the loss of independence for pretty much any reason be worthy? I mean, no wonder the world is such a messed up place right now. Just think of all of the people whose independence has been stripped from them by the pandemic through no fault of their own. Do we get to experience that loss as grief? Have they given us permission for that experience? Or are we just supposed to be smiling behind the mask because we're doing so much for society and the world? Happy little martyrs, let's just wave our little flags and symbols as we all go about our lives under authoritarian rule. It's no wonder that 2021 is characterized as the year of the brawl. I mean, people are nutting up on each other all over the place. Seriously, I saw a video this week of a bunch of real estate broker types at a convention busting each other's heads. I'm not saying it's not fun to watch, but that sort of thing just didn't seem to happen in 2019. So, what are we to do with all of this grief that we're not allowed to express for the freedom and independence that we've lost? Well, some people have checked out with alcohol and drugs. Plenty of overdoses going around, whether you hear about them or not. Other people engage in equally destructive patterns of behavior, and some just cut to the chase and have ended their own lives. It's tragic, and it's unnecessary. And I guess that's part of the glaring issue here. The people making the rules are seemingly expecting everyone else to just be fine with it or wear the mask as a flag of honor, if you will. It's easy to pick on that because it's a visual example, but there's a hell of a lot more to it. Before I go on too long about that, let's recall the point of this discussion. It was about grief. But how are we going to process grief for a loss that doesn't end? Well, some would have us do it one day at a time, just like the bumper sticker says, right, Bill? Trouble is, many of us are just being set up to repeat the same mistakes of the past. When those trauma centers in our brains refire in response to this grief, largely they're dormant until something happens. And then we expect them to work after being essentially atrophied for a long period of time. They haven't automatically evolved with us as we've perhaps matured or grown older. They may lead us back down paths that served who we were the last time we used them. But even so, have we learned from the mistakes of that long ago healing journey? Not necessarily. Personally, I have to resist the urge to catastrophize or fall into grief for a future that doesn't, can't, and won't exist. At the same time, I have to resist temptation to go in the other directions and give up hope entirely. Neither is particularly helpful, but that's an internal struggle. What are we to do with others? I mean, part of the value of the discussion of grief is not just how to identify and work through its manifestations within our own selves. We also need to be able to understand it objectively so that we're better equipped to express empathy and compassion when we're met with the grief of others. They may not even understand that they're grieving. They may not have been told that they're allowed to. You and I, though, we can equip ourselves to see the signs. We can meet people wherever they might be and find a more compassionate way to interact with them where they are, not for the purpose of manipulation or simple conformity, but to facilitate the healing process for others impacted by the seemingly impossible situations of loss. Now, we may even be able to prevent a brawl, or at least see it coming and choose our role in it. You've got my take. What say you?